The moment he sent for me, I knew something wasn't right. It wasn't just the message. It was who delivered it. A boy, no older than 10, stood outside my door just before sunset, shifting nervously from one foot to the other, as if he didn't want to be seen there. He said, "You have to come," the boy whispered. "Who?" I asked, though I already felt the answer settling like a stone in my chest. The boy swallowed. "Him." That was all he said, but it was enough. There was only one man in town people referred to like that. Only one man whose name carried weight even when it wasn't spoken. Caleb Rourke. I closed the door slowly, my fingers tightening around the wooden frame. "Tell him I'm not coming," I said. The boy shook his head quickly. "He said you would." A chill ran down my spine. "Why would he think that?" I asked. The boy looked down. He said, "You don't have a choice." The sun dipped lower as I stood there, staring at the closed door, my thoughts racing. I had spent years avoiding men like Caleb Rourke, men who didn't ask, men who took, men who believed the world belonged to them. And now, he wanted me. "I'm not going," I whispered. But the words didn't feel true, because deep down AB knew something worse would happen if I didn't. The saloon was louder than usual that night. Music, laughter, the sound of glasses hitting tables. But underneath it all, there was tension, the kind that spreads quietly, like people were waiting for something to happen, or someone. I stepped inside slowly, every eye turning toward me for just a moment before quickly looking away. They knew. Of course they did. He was sitting in the far corner, Caleb Rourke. One arm resting on the table, the other holding a glass he hadn't touched. He didn't look at me right away. That made it worse, because it meant he knew I would come. Eventually, his gaze lifted and landed on me. There was no surprise in his eyes, only certainty. "You came," he said. "I didn't have much of a choice," I replied. A faint smile touched his lips. "No," he said. "You didn't. I stayed where I was." "If you have something to say, say it," I added. "I'm not staying." A few men at nearby tables shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke to Caleb Rourke like that. But I wasn't afraid of his reputation. I was afraid of his intentions. "Come sit," he said, nodding to the chair across from him. "I'll stand." He studied me for a moment, then, "Suit yourself." Silence settled between us, heavy and sharp. "You know why I asked you here," he said. "No," I replied, "but I think I know what you want." His eyes narrowed slightly. "And what's that?" I forced myself to meet his gaze. "Control," I said. "Power. Someone who won't fight back." The room went quieter. Caleb leaned back slightly, his expression unreadable. "You think that's what this is?" he asked. "What else could it be?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his coat slowly. My body tensed, but when his hand came out, it wasn't holding a weapon, it was holding a folded piece of paper. "Sit," he said again. This time AB did, because something had changed. Something I didn't understand. He placed the paper on the table between us. "Open it," he said. I hesitated, then slowly reached forward, unfolding it carefully. My breath caught. It was a drawing of a house. A house I recognized. My house. But it wasn't the drawing that made my heart race. It was the marks around it. Men, positions, arrows. "This is tonight," Caleb said quietly. I looked up at him, confusion and fear colliding inside me. "What is this?" "It's what happens," he said. "If you had stayed home." My hands trembled slightly. "You're lying." "Am I?" he asked calmly. I looked back at the paper. The details. They were too precise. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "Because you think you know what I want," he said. "And I don't?" "No," he replied. "You don't." The world around us seemed to fade. "What do you want then?" I asked quietly. Caleb leaned forward slightly. "To keep you alive." The words didn't make sense. "Why?" I asked. His jaw tightened. "Because someone put a price on your head." The air left my lungs. "That's not possible." "It already happened," he said. "You just didn't know." I shook my head. "Who would do that?" "That's what I'm trying to find out." Silence stretched between us again. Everything I thought I understood was shifting. "You brought me here," I said slowly. "To protect me?" "Yes, by making everyone think." I trailed off. That I own you. He finished. The word sent a chill through me. Exactly. I stared at him. And you expect me to trust you? No, he said honestly. I expect you to survive. The sound of a glass shattering broke the moment. Then, a gunshot. The saloon erupted into chaos. Caleb was on his feet instantly. Stay close, he said. I'm not now. Something in his voice stopped me from arguing. I moved. Closer. Shots rang out again. Men shouting. Overturning. Caleb pulled me behind the bar. His movements sharp and controlled. They're here sooner than I thought, he muttered. My heart pounded. Who? The ones who want you dead. I pressed myself against the wood, trying to steady my breathing. This wasn't supposed to happen like this, I said. It never does, he replied. Another shot, closer this time. Caleb turned to me, his eyes serious. Listen to me, he said. If anything happens, you run. Don't look back. No, I said. His expression hardened. This isn't a choice. It is to me, I replied. For a moment, he said nothing then. Stay behind me. The fight didn't last long, but it felt like forever. When the noise finally faded, the silence that followed was heavy. Caleb stood still for a moment, scanning the room, then slowly lowered his gun. It's not over, he said. I stepped out from behind the bar. I know, because now, everything had changed. 4 ending hook, part 2 setup. I had come here thinking I knew what he wanted. I thought he wanted control, power, ownership. But I was wrong, because what he really wanted was to keep me alive. And now AB needed him more than I ever thought I would.